Hi, this is Professor Favors, American Literature, Emily Dickinson, five poems. So we're only going to look at five poems of Emily Dickinson. Of course, there are many more. Some are dealing with her relationship to nature. Others are dealing with her relationship or perception of death. And then the last one is dealing with the contrast between truth. So let's begin. All right, this lecture is subject to fair use. So this selection celebrates the poet's relationship to the natural world in both this wordplay, the use of liquor in line one to indicate both an alcoholic beverage in the first stanza and a rich nectar in the third, and its natural imagery. So I'm going to read it and then go over it. I taste the liquor never brewed, from tankard scooped in pearl. Not all the vats upon the Rhine yield such an alcohol. Inebriate of air am I, and debauchee of dew, reeling through endless summer days from ends of molten blue. When landlords turn the drunken bee out of the foxglove's door, when butterflies renounce their drams, I shall but drink the more. Till seraphs swing their snowy hats and saints to windows run to see the little tippler leaning against the sun. So it's a very interesting poem. I taste the liquor never brewed. There is a difference between the use of the word liquor in the first line and the use of the word alcohol in the fourth line of the first stanza. We know that liquor, just in a general sense, if we looked at this as directly, because this is really a metaphor for her relationship to the natural world. But let's take it literal for a minute. Liquor is a type of brew that contains alcohol as the active agent. So when you think about liquor, it is considered an alcoholic drink, but alcohol is the active agent when it is brewed, right? So when you see here, I taste the liquor never brewed, the brewing process is essentially um, something that's going through the process of it's making by soaking, boiling, fermenting. And so when you taste something, it's a sensory. You're looking for the flavor of something. Is taste can also mean perceive, experience the flavor of the sensation of something. So when you're tasting a liquor that literally, usually, when brewed, contains alcohol as the active agent. When you see the word "I taste the liquor never brewed," that means that that liquor has not gone through a process to become um, an alcoholic drink. That could be the age of discovery, where we all, in a figurative sense, have not gone through a particular process to become something full. Because when it is liquor and is brewed, in particular, think about it like this: when you want to make some tea or you want to make some coffee, you have to put the coffee into the coffee pot, or if it's instant coffee, you boil the water and you put the coffee in it to brew it, right? And so it's not coffee; it's just coffee grounds, a coffee cup, and then water. But until you brew it, it hasn't gone through the process. So with this, I taste the liquor never brewed. That means it hasn't gone through the process to become a full liquor, or become a full substance where alcohol is the active agent. Alcohol, meaning that it is produced by natural fermentation of sugars. And so it is also a colorless, volatile, flammable liquid, intoxicating, and it is a constituent in wine, spirits, other types of drink. So just by itself, when you see from tankard scooped in pearl, not all the vats upon the Rhine yield such an alcohol. The The tankers that you see here are the tankers. It is defined as a tall beer mug. And then scoop, of course, works like a spoon, right? And then pearl is a word that you often may refer to the actual jewelry pearl, or pearl could be a name, or pearl could be wisdom. You may say somebody say she's a pearl of wisdom or something like that. That means it's valuable. Pearls, real pearls, tend to be valuable. Not all the vats upon the Rhine. Vats here means a large tank that holds liquid. Rhine means a river in Europe yield such an alcohol. So there's a contrast between the word liquor used in the first line and alcohol used in the last line, because even if you process all the vats, all the liquid, the large tank that holds liquid, using the full river, which is a river in Europe, it still wouldn't yield the same kind of alcohol when when it's never brewed. I taste the liquor never brewed. I taste something that has not gone through a particular process. The alcohol, so again, the liquor is a brew that contains alcohol as the active agent. And so if you don't have alcohol as the active agent, then it's not really as true to an intoxicant that you would have if you were drinking fully processed liquor or fully processed alcohol. You couldn't feel the full effects. There are some people who drink for recreational use. They just want a little bit of a buzz. And then you're some people who actually drink because they want to feel intoxicated. They want to feel what you see here, inebriated, right? And so, inebriate of air am I, and debauchee of dew, reeling through endless summer days from ends of molten blue. So, anytime you see someone who is inebriated, they truly are intoxicated. But if the taste of a liquor is never brewed, then you're not going to be truly inebriated. However, if you can, if you look at this figuratively in her relationship with the natural world, if she's smelling flowers, if if she's walking through the grass, she could feel a sense of inebriation because that's the destination or that's the direction that she wants to go into. It's like the person who always says smell the flowers, right? Because it brings such a experience that you want to feel. You may not necessarily want the feeling of liquor to make you intoxicated, but you want the feeling of the natural world to make you feel intoxicated. Because I taste the liquor never brewed means again that it hasn't gone through the process to become a full intoxicant. So inebriated of air am I. So now we know for certain that she's talking about the natural world around her and not necessarily literally liquor and alcohol. So as she walks through the forest or as she walks through the grass where she's looking at the flowers and smelling all the different flowers, she feels inebriated. She feels intoxicated by what she tastes or senses, right? Because taste could also mean sensory. And debauchee of dew, dew refers to the natural, right? And debauchee actually means person giving to um, excessive indulgence. So instead of, it works like Walt Whitman's poem, "Song of Myself," giving into the loafing about, the wandering about, and so now you have become so inebriated and intoxicated just by the time you spend in the natural world. Reeling means walking unsteadily. So through endless summer days from ends of molten blue. So you have people who spend their summer days on the beach or something, or they spend their summer days camping, or they spend their summer days in leisure. And even though you can choose to go in leisure, there's still an unsteadiness about it because it's not keeping up with the way the world would have you to walk. And that's why there was a lot of criticism of Walt Whitman's poem Song of Myself, because in a time of revolution and movement and progress, he's wandering about. Okay, so then the same could be said of this reeling. When you are walking unsteadily, you're not walking according to the norms. You're not you are moving about as if you don't have a care and concern. And during her time, 1861 to 1865, we have the American Civil War going on. So why are we reeling? Why are we walking unsteadily? Why are we inebriated by the air? Why are we tasting liquor that has never been brewed? Why are we spending endless summer days when we are in actual chaos, social, political, economic, financial chaos? And then we have all these legislative amendments that are coming to play to affect us financially. When landlords turn the drunken bee out of the foxglove's door, when butterflies renounce their drams, I shall but drink the more. So the landlords here, we know what a landlord means. A landlord is a person who rents land, building, property to a tenant. Of course, the drunken bee is that ideal of the bee pollinating, right? Moving from flower to flower. And then out of the foxglove's door, foxglove is actually a Eurasian plant with erect spikes shaped like the fingers of gloves. So when landlords could also be owner of property. So when landlords turn the drunken bee out of the foxglove's door, what that suggests is that there could be a transition of authority when landlords turn the drunken bee out of the foxglove's door. There's a movement. So when that bee leaves that particular plant and goes to another plant, um, and the landlord is turning the one who owns the property, right? Who owns the flower. When he turns that drunken bee out of the foxglove's door, he no longer has authority over it because now it's moving towards another target. When butterflies renounce their drams, renounce means to abandon. So here it is, they have rights to their drams, drams being meaning it's a Scottish word for strong alcoholic drink. Once they leave, once the drunken bee leaves, once the butterfly leaves, they leave their authority behind. That means that I shall but drink the more. Then I, first person I give myself the right to drink the more. So once they have taken their field, once the drunken bee has taken so much of its field to become drunken, and once the butterfly has abandoned his own drink, and dram again is something that is a strong alcoholic drink, especially whiskey, then I should now step forward and drink the more. Now I'm giving myself the right and authority to drink the more. And then till seraphs swing their snowy hats and saints to windows run to see the little tippler leaning against the sun. So seraphs, of course, are angelic beings. Um, I think we can understand that saints, it usually refers to some sort of religion. They go to the window to run to see the little tippler. The tippler is the habitual drinker, and then that person is leaning against the sun. So even in his intoxicated state, even we don't know for certain if he's intoxicated, but he is a tippler, and he has the reputation of being a habitual drinker. But even he is taking in the sun. he's more intoxicated by the sun than even the drink that he's usually and habitually drinking. So a lot of this can be examined from um, a literal sense when we look at the difference between liquor and alcohol, and then it is further explored, and then we can look at this in a figurative sense where she's tasting an experience never brewed, that it hasn't gone through the process, and so now she's actually going to go through the process by um, looking at the tankers, looking at the vats, understanding that there is a difference between liquor and alcohol, feeling the inebriation from the air and the dew, and walking unsteadily through endless summer days. And then also when having some I don't think this is the right word, grace, but have an understanding that the drunken bee and the foxglove and the butterfly have their right to liquor, right, in a sense, to feel intoxicated. But once they leave, she can now step up and um, experience her right to it as well. It's not about liquor; it's about experiencing something that has never gone through a particular process, so that it is not affecting, it's not infecting her directly. She has her own first experiences with it. And then, of course, till Sarahs swing their snowy hats and saints to windows run to see the little tippler leaning against the sun is also something to consider. So, a taste of liquor never brewed. All right, so this is the end of the presentation. Emily Dickinson resources. There's a whole museum. There's contact information as well as a um, Emily Dickinson timeline. Thank you very much for listening.